That's one being released by Mark's wife, Cindy. Here's the imprint. I'll go through this real quick. This is what you're looking like in Maine. The nest is way up there. This is me climbing it. You got to watch yourself. Those are Ias goshawks. They are cute little things. There's nothing more special than being about 40, 50 feet up and looking over the edge of a nest and seeing these little Iases. They're about 6, 7 days old. These are about 10 days old. If you look at the difference, white, they just look like little cue balls, cotton balls. They actually still, their egg tooth is really pronounced still. You give them just another like 5 or so days, and they're getting the woolly down. Now they can start to thermoregulate. That was the same day, 2 different nests, just to give you an idea. Some of them, they go down, even if it's just 6 or 7 days earlier or later. That's what they look like. Tiny little guys. Little crop on them. There's that egg tooth. You can see the ear right there. Taking a nap. There's the ear. And there you go. There's a federal ban for that one. They start to fledge. I just kind of like leave them around the yard, let them do their own thing. There you go. That's probably 2 months later. That was a tiercel. I actually lost this bird. It drowned. I was hunting a beach on a dune. It checked off a rabbit. A bunch of seagulls went up. It flew out into the Atlantic about a good 200 feet, grabbed a seagull and went down with it. And I couldn't get to the bird. So that bird ended up drowning on me. That was my first goshawk I ever had. That's a female goshawk. Just to give you an idea what they look like. First year, and that's what they look like. That was a bird that I hunted with. Mallards, the stripe there. And here's just some, just to give you an idea what we're hunting. Right there, the backdrop. People, it's all there. This is up in Maine. These are the peregrines that Mark and Cindy fly. They have a couple juras. Now they have some wild peregrines. Different methods. This is how you hunt a goss for rabbit. This is setting up the bird to get the bird out to the middle of the salt marsh. This is where there were some ducks in a creek. I was trying to see if my buddy was helping me out here, what he was doing. He was supposed to flush the ducks. Squirrel hole, evasive tactic. Squirrels are extremely smart, extremely cagey. When they have a red tail on them, it's amazing how, the tricks that they have. Squirrel nest. This is when I was younger what I used to do. I'd at least try and get up a tree. Squirrel nest. What was neat about it was this bird I had 5 years. If I started climbing, this bird would come and fly over next to me. We had a really tight hunting bond. They're not pets, but the hunting bond I had with this bird was pretty special. I haven't really had a red tail. She's coming close to it, but he was excellent. If I started climbing, he knew what I was doing. Some action shots coming in. That is, if you kind of get an idea, this is pitch pine. That's the red tail crashing the top of the pitch pine. That's a squirrel trying to get away, as you can't blame them to do. There you go. So these are the kind of flights we get to see. They're pretty incredible. I'd actually push it further. It's a little beyond just advanced bird watching, so I might have to disagree with Tom Cade, but he's been around longer than me, so I'm not going to disagree with him too much. This was a shot. This is a red tail coming down on a squirrel here. I was trying to get a shot, but my buddy got a better shot, so we went with that one. When I went to Spain and I showed this picture, there was a lot of oohs and ahs. They don't have red tails over there. They breed them, so they're not. I don't think they push the bird as much as they should. Now, if you see squirrels, there's a squirrel. There's the rabbit. We're in a wood lot. They will run out of the wood lot, and they'll end up in places like this. They'll actually climb a building. They'll go into a garbage can if they have to. Some of the other stuff. Rabbit goshawk. That is a European goshawk, a little different. If you look at the barring. Pretty cool, right? That's what you're looking at. So what you're looking at too here, this is a European bird. They just get a yellow eye. They don't get the red eye like the North American birds. They're actually less temperamental than our birds. North American goshawk is considered, again, one of the hardest birds to man down and hunt with successfully. Some other shots. The bird doesn't always, go home with something in the bag, I can assure you that. They're big birds. Now this is neat. This is an invasive species. That's a European starling, and that is a sharpshin. That is some of the classiest falconry. There's guys that will actually hunt the sharpshin from the head, and they'll just walk through, a field, or they'll go to an area where there are starling, and that's what you get. They are really, really neat birds. It's overtaking the starling. That was my bird on a squirrel. Oh, yeah. This is mantling. I don't know if you guys know the term. Mantling, they're hiding the kill from other birds. They go into that. Some of them mantle hard, and some of them mantle. He was used to me coming in on the kill, and he was fine. Some of these new, you get a bird like her, first year, they're still not sure what your intentions are. And it's a reward-based system, so I reward the bird off the kill. But some of these birds mantle really hard. I mean, they almost lay on the prey. A lot of times, if they start to mantle that hard, you look up and you realize that there's a wild redtail above us, because they'll come in. There's many times that we get chased. That was the tiercel redtail I had. That was a goshawk I had. Underneath is a squirrel. It's pretty neat to see goshawks fly squirrel down. They're extremely athletic birds. Duck. Tail saber. Goshawks, accipiters in general, they have a propensity to break feathers. They're designed different. The shaft's a lot thinner, and we use tail sabers. What they'll do is, while they're mantling on the kill, they'll actually lean back on their tail feathers, and they'll actually break them. And there's nothing, it doesn't look good when you have a bird with a whole bunch of, broken feathers. So that's X-ray, sheet of X-ray, and I just folded it, and you crimp it, and you... Red tail, that's a bird that I hunted with this bird for 5 years. Definitely put a lot of game in the bag with that bird. That's a classic. That's called a cadge. Way back when, they actually had, in the 15th century, they had, kids would carry the cadge for the kings. And they'd have a series of falcons on the cadge. This is up in Maine. Hybrids, this is before we could actually trap peregrines, or the state of Maine at least. This is you can get a peregrine as well as like appeals. So you're taking the better qualities of the bird. The hybrids, not so much. Now, because we have access to wild birds, that's probably one of the most beautiful birds. That's a gyrfalcon, your largest falcon. That is a male. This is up in Maine again, salt marsh. That is that bird that Mark Fanning had earlier. That's the same bird about 2 months later on its first kill. Wild trapped, a couple months later you're hunting with it. It really is, the process is pretty, it's fun, but it's demanding, but that's the end result though. When you're at that point, you realize that you've done your part, because you haven't lost your bird, for starters. Same bird. Again, notice how blonde they are, how light they are. Different. That's a different type of peregrine. And that's us leaving. That's usually when we're from dusk till dawn out in the salt marsh. So what I'll do is I'll grab the bird, and if you guys have additional questions, you can ask me. Feel free to afterwards to check any of this other stuff out a lot. Cool. Yeah. Well, it depends. Actually, in actuality, you have to assess each bird. Some birds are really possessive on the kill. With that, what I'll do is I'll use the lure. I have a lure, and I'll actually see if the bird will transfer from the kill to the lure. A lot of times what I'll do is once I've dispatched the kill, I'll feed it the liver, the heart, a back leg or something like that, and then the rest of the kill goes into my hawking bag, and then I'll continue to reward it with like some quail that I have, and then that goes in the freezer. So now that I can't hunt anymore, what the bird is actually killed, I thaw out and I feed that back to the bird during the summer months. So there's that, it's a full circle. Nothing goes to waste. And the rabbit and squirrel are great when the bird's molting, because not only is it what they're normally eating anyway, but it keeps their beak coped. In other words, you see falconers are just feeding their birds a lot of quail throughout the summer. They look like gonzo. By the end of the summer, their beak is just, you have to cut it and cope it. The closer you could stay to their natural feed, that's what you want to feed them. But yeah, I mean, on the kill, I'll just, it sounds gross, but yeah, I'll just take a back leg off and let the bird eat on the glove. And then while that's happening, I'll have someone else with me, kind of gut the rest of it, bury the gut pile, and then give the bird more of a reward on the way out. I like to do that with new birds because once they're done eating, they'll start baiting a little bit. They're nervous. So if you continue feeding them, then you put them in this is called the giant hood. So that's a different method of keeping a bird for travel. You just put the bird in the box and it's no big deal. So, yeah.
So on a typical day out hunting,
Uh-huh.
how many ducks or whatever is your falcon catching?
The falcons, I'd say you got probably 70, for every flush. I've seen, say you fly 4 birds, not all 4 birds are going to kill. You might get 2 of them kill. It varies. You can go one day and all your birds make a kill, and you can go another day and none of them do. Especially the thing with the falcons is you only have one shot. So you locate duck, it's low tide, you put the bird up, it pins the ducks down, and then we flush the duck. So you come in, you flush the ducks, and what they're trying to do is get to open water. That falcon essentially only has one shot. So and at that point you either watch the duck or the falcon, because it goes so quick you'll lose it. You can't do one of those. So as the bird comes down, if it is able to get the duck, it'll grab it, knock it down, kill it outright. But a lot of times, especially black duck, are extremely tough. They'll hit it, the duck will roll on the ice, they get up, and they're flying again. But by the time the falcon remounts, the duck is gone. I mean, what do they do, 55 miles an hour at that point? I mean, they're in a flat, they're gone.
So are you hunting with falcon to get food for yourself?
Yeah. Well, no.
You have enough, or are you just using it to feed the falcon?
Feed the falcon, sure. But Mark Fanning, he's well known for his gourmet game meals. We'll actually go home and eat, black duck wrapped in bacon, and we celebrate the kill that way. But yeah, it's also a means to just
A little bit of food on the table.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've had squirrel pot pie. It's good. You guys should try it. It's good, right? Rabbit's good.
In between, you also supplement with
Quail,
that you
coturnix.
raise to
Yeah,
feed them?
yeah. Well, because you're not really you're not making enough kills usually through a season.
Full of medicine after.
Gotcha.
I'm all
So
about hunting.
yeah. Oh yeah, but a lot of it too, though, like the gentleman asked earlier, is you want that rabbit and squirrel for the bird, because it's called a tiring. They're able to chew on a leg, and on a rabbit or a squirrel, they're not just breaking apart a quail. There's not much to it, So yeah, it's a little bit of both. Yep. I'll grab the bird. Yeah.
How do you train the bird so that when you go out, it doesn't fly away?
You guys familiar with Pavlov, operant conditioning, reward-based system? That's what it is. It's basically, it's a food reward. Basically, I'm just a big refrigerator to the bird. Despite what some people think that we starve our birds, we don't starve our birds. We lower their weight so that they're motivated by food. This scale I use, I weigh the bird. The bird flies, I'd have to look at my notes, but she flew at about 45 to 46 ounces. If I, went to put her up in a tree at 50 ounces, she's gone. There's no